The top 5 things you need to know when purchasing a home in South Carolina. Hi, I'm Sue LeFavi with Ballinger Realty, and if you have any questions along the way, just call, text, or email me. If you've watched some of my other videos, you've seen tours of various towns and neighborhoods to give you a feel for the Low Country and what it has to offer in terms of real estate and quality of life. Today, I'm switching gears just a bit to tell you about the top 5 things to be aware of when purchasing a home in South Carolina. These things you absolutely should know, and they are not intuitive. Okay, number 1. As of June 2023, the state of South Carolina has a new seller's property disclosure statement, which definitely benefits the buyer. The major addition to the disclosure pertains to the important topic of flood coverage and water damage. The old disclosure did ask if you've ever had any floods or claims, but there were some gaps that could cause misunderstanding such that you could end up holding the bag. But the new disclosure goes into much more detail. As you can see here, there are now multiple questions pertaining to water intrusion. Let me hit on the highlights. Question number 22 specifically asks about any erosion or erosion control affecting the property. Now this came about because there was a lawsuit that involved a property owner using hundreds of sandbags buried under their house to offset erosion. And 2 years after the new owners moved in, all these sandbags started washing up all around their house. The previous owner never disclosed their method of erosion control or lack thereof, now causing major expenses to the new property owner. Number 24 asks whether the property is currently insured through either public, which means FEMA, or private insurance. Number 25 asks if you've ever filed a claim through one of these insurers. The next question is key because owners must disclose if they ever made any repairs as a result of any flood event and they did not file public or private insurance. This protects you from the person who, and this has happened, made repairs due to water intrusion but never filed an insurance claim. With the new form, they are obligated to disclose that. The second important thing to know, the type of water pipes. This is a highly important item on the property disclosure that I want to make sure you are aware of. Under the section on water pipes, look closely. Buyers, beware if you see the polybutylene box checked. Polybutylene was a form of plastic resin that was used extensively in the southeastern United States in the manufacturing of water pipes between 1978 and 1995. So if you're from the Northeast, Midwest, or West Coast, you've probably never heard of this. Because of its low cost, they substituted it for the traditional copper piping. Unfortunately, polybutylene proved to be a disaster and was banned in 1996. It turns out the plastic used reacts to disinfectants like chlorine in the public water supplies, and the pipes will eventually burst. Now, sometimes the seller honestly has no idea if they have polybutylene and checked the wrong box or no representation. This is something a home inspector would definitely make note of, but I want to make sure you are aware of the importance of this. I was just recently showing a house and went into the attic where the water heater was located and noted this gray piping, which definitely reflects polybutylene. If discovered, this is something you definitely would request the seller to replace or issue a credit. Many insurance companies will not even insure a home with this type of piping, or they will write an exclusion, so if the pipes burst, you're not covered. So if you're considering a home that was built in South Carolina between 1978 and 1995, just be aware of this. Number 3, Get a flood insurance quote prior to submitting an offer. After all, this is called the Low Country for a reason, and I always recommend flood insurance even if you're not in a flood zone. Now, be aware of the flood insurance wait policy. Through FEMA, there is a 30-day waiting period before the policy takes effect. So you can't wait until a hurricane is approaching to try to get insured. There is one exception to this 30-day waiting period. However, if you're purchasing a home that requires flood insurance and are carrying a mortgage, then there is no time limit and the flood policy is active at closing. But if you're purchasing the property with cash, there still is that 30-day wait period. So you're going to want to activate your flood insurance right when you go under contract on the property. I recommend checking out your policy with your insurance company in advance so you will know what the cost will be. Number 4, the roof. The age of the roof can definitely be a deal breaker when it comes to homeowners insurance. Going back to this property disclosure, the seller does have to disclose the age of the roof. Sure, a lot of times they don't even know. While home inspectors can make an educated guess by an inspection and certainly identify any leaks, the sure bet on the age is going to come from your homeowner's insurance agent. When they go to pull a quote on that house, they have access to building permits and will know if and when a permit was issued for that roof. And by the way, you want to get this insurance quote during your due diligence period so you don't jeopardize losing your earnest money. Even though a house might have those 30-year architectural shingles, the majority of insurance agents I've worked with in the Low Country tell me that because of all the heat and humidity here, those shingles functionally only have about a 20-year lifespan. And in many cases, will not insure a home with a roof 20 years or older. They may require a new roof before they will issue a policy. The age of the roof is no small thing. And number 5, the CL100 inspection contingency. As you can see on this South Carolina purchase agreement, the CL100 is a separate contingency altogether. And if you're not from the South, you're probably wondering, what the heck is this? This is your termite inspection. Homeowners are not required to carry a termite bond, so this is an inspection you definitely want to have done prior to closing. It's typically paid for by the buyer, but it's only like $125, but worth its weight in gold. Termites love our subtropical climate and are very prevalent here. One previous buyer of mine had a home inspection on a house that wasn't even 5 years old. Who would have thought it would be infested with termites? Well, it was. And fortunately, the seller agreed to pay for the treatment. After closing, I always recommend getting a termite bond in place. Summing it up, if you're purchasing a resale home in South Carolina, do your diligence and pay close attention to the seller's property disclosure. In particular, the sections on flood, water pipes, and the roof. If you're purchasing in a flood zone, get a quote up front and always include the CL100 termite contingency on your purchase agreement. Again, if you have any questions about this video or South Carolina in general, please reach out to me anytime. Thanks.